Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the World of Momos podcast. And on this Christmas special episode of Asking Silly Random Questions with Friends, I have Stephen Barrett with us. And yeah, each time I actually do forget telling people or about to forget, and then I have to remind myself, well, what the hell am I actually doing in these episodes. So just 2 minutes before starting to record, I sort of picked up few random questions from the internet. I'm going to ask Stephen a question. He has to answer it, but then I have to answer it as well, as truthfully as possible, or as entertaining as possible, and can be a lie then.
Can't do any of the pinks or the oranges,
All right.
so you know. No, seriously, I play with people and they get really disheartened because I'll fill up all the others, and
Yeah.
then they'll just watch me for the remaining 4 hours fail pink or orange.
All right. We're gonna answer the first question. First question: did you ever think clowns were creepy, or do you still think the clowns are creepy?
I think clowns are creepy. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not a fan of clowns at all. I don't understand why a clown. I don't understand clowns. What would a
Did you
clown?
ever get at a birthday party when you were growing up or something? Or
I think I've been a boring, nerdy child for most of my life. So I reckon maybe if you went back to like when I was 4, there would have been a time. I remember I really didn't think very much of a panto when I was about 5. I thought it was
hmm.
too childish, and then I went to it and I actually laughed.
Yeah,
But that was like 4 or 5. After that, my powers of just sneering really kicked in. I mean, don't underestimate. I mean, I'm much more fun now than
yeah.
I ever was as a child. I was a terribly boring child. I read War and Peace when I was 12. I mean, just boring. So it's just not that there's anything wrong with
Yeah,
War and Peace.
that
I'm
would
a
be
really
a
stupid guy.
hard work for a clown, anyways. Then.
But yeah, so I just think I was a tough customer for it, and I certainly would have definitely from like the age of 8 or 9, I would have sneered at clowns and considered them very childish,
Hmm.
and therefore not like me and not respectable. I grew up in a working class house without books, but I
Hmm.
wanted people to take my intellect seriously. And when you're like that, and I see it in other people. I think, by the way, that's a great mistake in life. I think I've come to the conclusion that people either think I'm clever or they don't. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But when you want people to think you're clever, you behave in certain ways and you do certain
Hmm.
things. Unfortunately, as I said, it's more boring. So I do feel my life's improved.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
never clowns.
Now
That's
a clown.
way too
I
far.
think
Maybe a
so.
panto.
With me, with clowns, I don't find mimes funny. I didn't find like clowns funny as well. Although I like the silliness because I am a big admirer of silliness, uh, but not slapstick silliness. Like sometimes, like it has there's a time and place for it. But I think when the year I was born, I think that's when the It came out
Ugh.
movie. 1986, I think so. It came out, but obviously I didn't watch it then. I'll watch it later. That would be pretty
Seems
advanced.
reasonable.
Yeah. I watched it like at that age where I would have been introduced to clowns, right? In the early 90s, when I was 4 or 5 or something like that, and I was like, I just didn't get along with clowns. I even remember watching Ghostbusters. I don't know which movie it is, like where it's like the woman, like she opens a bath or something, and she's filling the bath, and the goo of the whatever ghosts come out. I just remember that scene because I remember for months I would refuse to take a bath,
Right.
right, and be left alone over there,
Mm.
you know. So yeah, the clowns, I didn't get them, but as I grew older, I kind of like clowns, but not for myself. I watch them entertaining children, and children laugh, and I just involuntarily I just smile, like looking at them, like laughing and enjoying and stuff. Then I see the sense of clowns. It's like, okay, maybe it wasn't for me, but like overall, they're performing some good.
I was a massive fan of Punch and Judy as a kid, and
Hmm.
I would giggle to that.
Yeah.
So even I would have fun occasionally. But I mean, there's an episode of Frasier where Frasier points out that the clown has to have some dignity,
Oh yeah.
otherwise you're just abusing someone.
Yeah.
It's much more funny to have Frasier, this distinguished psychiatrist,
Yeah.
and him have the proverbial pie in his
Yeah.
face than to smash a pie into a homeless person's face.
Yeah.
And that's obviously
Definitely.
just not right.
Yeah.
It's not funny. I'm not going to laugh at it. And I think, sadly for clowns, they just haven't got. I feel pity for them
Hmm.
because they. I don't think they earn lots of money. I don't. I don't
No.
feel.
No.
So I'm just.
It's just it's like these art forms, like street art forms, and which develop into something else a bit more entertaining. So they have they have to have something wrong in their head, anyways, like to pursue this, right? Because they're doing it for the love of it. They're not doing it for fame. They're not doing it for money. Like not everyone becomes Bozo the Clown, anyways. Like I see this guy like in Chelmsford. He's such a nice guy with kids and stuff. He's on stilts and he's sort of half dressed as a clown, but like not done the face and stuff. And he does these
Right.
balloon animals for kids and stuff.
That's
And
nice.
he's constantly like interacting with them and making them laugh and stuff. And you can see like kids naturally laughing, like like with snot and stuff like that, like at his silly jokes and stuff. But
The
obviously
children
he
laughing.
doesn't.
It's like.
And I've been watching him like for over 5 years or something, and I think so he's been there for even longer. He obviously doesn't do it for the money, because like how many people actually buy balloon animals and stuff, but it's just something in him that makes him want to keep on doing it. And I admire that, there's people that do not care about the monetary gains, and they'll just do things because they want to do it.
Well, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Mhm.
I mean, to be honest, again, just going back to a theme of my childhood, I've always been paranoid. So if I
Mm,
see any sort of street artist, I usually think pickpocket. It's my
yeah.
first suspicion. I get very sort of defensive. So I'm probably
Yeah.
not paying attention to whatever the street artist is doing. I'm much
Yeah.
more like, where's the
But
pickpocket?
obviously now all pickpocketers and clowns are all in parliament. So
Well,
that,
that it does make it easier that
yeah,
they've
exactly.
all
Yeah.
coalesced in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
The House of Clowns, where they go.
what is shocking is Westminster Bridge, which is just absolutely full of three-card Monte criminals.
Yeah.
Doing a scam in order to get
Yeah.
tourists to bet on stuff. I mean, it's just like, this is not right. It's next
Yeah.
to the Mother of Parliament.
I
You're
know.
not supposed to be a den of
Yeah. But who's
total
gonna point
vice.
out, right? Who's gonna point out? Crooks don't
Well,
point out other
we'd
crooks.
need a
So.
police force or something.
Yeah.
We don't seem to have one of those. Only for Twitter.
Yeah. All right. Next question. For a day, would you rather be a hobbit or an elf?
For a day or for a dare.
For a day.
I've always wanted to be an elf
Mm.
desperately. I mean, I have like Sam Gangiitis in that I get just excited by the idea of elves. Still, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a grown up and I should not get excited about the elves. So there's no way that I would pick a hobbit. I mean, I think I
Mm.
am a hobbit, which
Yeah,
I
I
think is a
was
very
gonna answer
different
the
thing.
same actually. My answer is the same because I feel like I'm a hobbit every day.
Yeah,
So if I had to choose something else for a day, it would be an elf.
yeah, exactly. And I like bunting. I like cake and
Yeah,
parties and a nice sit down and a little bit of a
yeah,
dance. I'm very country. I'm very shy anyway. So the elf would be the change, and that would be
yeah,
much more exciting.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I do think elves, yeah, pretty amazing.
yeah. Just be cool for a day.
Yeah, for once.
Once. All right, next question. Did you ever think you had superpowers as a kid?
I never believed that I had superpowers, but I did wish for them,
Hmm.
and I wished for
What did you
magic
wish for?
quite a lot. Oh, I want all sorts of powers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have them all. Um, desperately wanted to fly.
Hmm.
That was one. I quite wanted wings, to be
Oh,
perfectly honest. I'm like even more than just flying.
yeah.
I want massive wings. And I wanted the abilities to conjure fire and do magic. I would,
Hmm.
I'd be really happy if Dungeons and Dragons was real and I
Oh,
could be a
yeah.
sorcerer.
Yeah.
That would be a good spend time in libraries, do loads of magic. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But so I wanted that, but I never believed that I
Mm.
had powers. I think when I was 4, I went on holiday to to a caravan park,
Mm.
and I convinced myself that I could predict the what do they call, like, the machine you put money into, and it
The
spins round, and you try, and you either win or you don't, but and you have to hold or not hold, and all that. I
yeah.
convinced myself I could do that, but even then, I think I was arguing on a rational basis, because I was arguing that I could feel the heat of the lights, and that they varied based on. And now I'm not sure that was true, because I don't remember becoming a mass millionaire from this
Yeah.
device. So it may well have been the delusions of a
Yeah.
4-year-old. But I think for me, I have to wrap everything up in rationality.
Mm.
Even if, and
Mm.
I get very frustrated with systems that are irrational. So as a child, I used to get I used to like reading about magic, but
Mm.
I'd get really frustrated if I thought that the system just didn't make sense on its own
Yeah.
terms. I liked
Yeah.
people whose systems made sense, at
Yeah.
least on their own basis. Where and they were consistent. It wasn't just click
Sure.
and
Yeah.
there. So I always needed to be grounded in some form of rationality.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the reason why I loved Batman when I was younger, I had like 30, 40 action figures of just Batman, and they would fight with each other to determine who's the right Batman, who's the actual Batman, right? But the reason why I love Batman was because he had no superpowers,
yes,
right?
and a lot of people find that they like that about him, because
Yeah,
he is
but
just
he
normal.
still did the right thing, right? So
Mm.
it showed, like, it, as even as a young kid, it like showed me what is the actual courage. The actual courage is actually not having the ability to do something, but still doing it because it's the right thing to do, sort of a, like, that sort of a thing. But I did like I did believe in, like, oh, there are people probably who have spatial abilities, or I would like to believe that, right? I remember a friend of mine when I was a kid, he convinced me he had powers, right?
Right.
He convinced me he had like powers of levitation, and I was like pulled in, like, because he would tell me these fantastic stories and stuff. And obviously I didn't believe him, but like I wanted to believe it, like, that could
That's
be
very
true, that
powerful.
I could learn from him, like how to levitate and stuff. Till you remember, in the old times when we had like the actual phones,
Yeah.
and they would be connected, right? So I was talking to him on the phone about this levitation and thing, and incidentally my mom was listening to our conversation as well. So that put an end to all of that, because she was like, what the hell is this guy, this kid doing to you, to your mind and stuff? You're gonna just erode your mind, like thinking of silly things, none of this, and blah blah blah. And then I stopped believing in him, obviously, because it just broke that illusion, because of I knew it wasn't true, but I just wanted to escape.
Well, one of the sad impacts of the Blair landslide in the 97 election is that we focus on that, when we forget that there was actually a party that engaged in something called yogic flying, where they
Oh,
tried to convince the nation and get them to vote for them on the basis that they could levitate. And
wow.
I mean, I've not thought about this
Wow.
for a while, but then people don't mention levitation very often. But they were trying to convince the nation that they could levitate by way of yogic flying,
Wow.
which seemed to be just them sort of jumping around. But
I would vote for them.
yeah, I'd come up with the natural something part. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was one of those mad elections when things like that happen.
I would
But
definitely vote for them.
a much less fun version of Count Binface, although he's become remarkably establishment now.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
boring.
yeah,
So
yeah. We
I'm
need
fed up.
someone else.
It's like the people who used to be rebels, like Ian Hislop, who are now
Mm.
just establishment.
Just establishment, like
That's
regime
all you are.
comedians, like Graham Lennon says, like,
Yeah,
they are.
and the
Yeah,
awful thing about them is that you know every thought they've ever had.
yeah, and
So
you
I
can
mean,
predict what other thoughts they are going to have
yeah, well,
if
you know,
any such situation arose. Like, it's just not funny.
Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell, we know exactly what they think about everything.
Yeah.
Whenever it's not either, I don't really understand why anybody listens to them. It's like we
Uh,
know their
I
thoughts
think it's like
already.
people who really don't listen to anything else.
Shocking.
Yeah. Uh, but I know people who have just read one book in their whole lifetime. So there you go. So Next question. If you had 25 hours in a day, an additional hour, what would you do with that extra hour besides sleeping? So sleeping is
Oh,
off the table.
I was definitely going to say sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, I would publish more on my Substack.
No.
Um, I don't know. What would I do? I read. I don't. So because I was a single dad
Hmm.
to a baby, you don't have a lot of spare time. There's not
Yeah.
like a lot of spare time. So I've got into a sort of ritual of
Hmm.
only expecting about half an hour's sort of relaxation a day.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I suppose it would massively increase that. Means I could watch a film on a weeknight.
A
So
full
that
film in one go.
that would change. Yeah, that would be revolutionary. But yeah, I don't know if I have anything fun that I do. This is an
Hmm.
awful question for me because I'm just so boring. I'd read more. I'd tweet more. I'd learn more law.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I like my first instinct was reading as well. Like, then I can have a very specific time. Like, this is the time of the day, in the middle of the day. This is my reading time. So everything else will go as planned, and I have additional day of reading. But I don't think so. It matters even if there were 4, 5, 6 hours extra in a day, because it just time is relative. Because like I've noticed this, like, it doesn't pass the same. It's just so weird. Time is so weird. I really don't understand it. Because yeah, I know that we're measuring time like by clocks and stuff like that, but I don't think time works like that. I
No,
remember, like,
this year has gone ridiculously quickly.
yeah, I mean, and plus, like, in a day as well, like, recently, cause my wife had surgery and stuff, and she can't walk that much, so she sent me for shopping with a list. And obviously, if I'm going on my own, I'm gonna be like quick, because whatever's
Yeah,
in the shopping, gonna get it and get out. Like, unless I want to buy something, then I would like spend hours and hours, like, just looking for. But I didn't want to go that day anyways. For some, and the place where I was going was 5 minutes away, and I drove as well, right? For some reason, I came back home and it was 1 hour 20 minutes had gone. There was no traffic, no nothing, and I only got there to get the things I wanted. And I spent like probably a little bit of extra time looking for Christmas cards, which I didn't buy any of them anyways. But I didn't spend an hour. And there was no rush at the till. I was the first person at the till. Like, there was no one at the till as well. I just don't know how it works. Like, how? So I
yeah.
don't think it would matter an extra hour even.
No, let's be honest. Humans would squander it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'd write more Shakespearean plays. No, you would.
Yeah. You won't even read them. All right, next question. What is the I don't like this question. What is the best kind of food for a food fight?
Oh no, I don't like food fights. I'm not.
No, no,
I've
same.
never had one.
No.
I wouldn't like it. I mean,
Waste of food, like,
I've got
no.
a child, and
Yeah.
the pleasures of children are seeing bits of yourself in them. My child is so fastidious
Hmm.
that will not eat chicken nuggets without a knife and fork. I mean,
Oh,
we're
nice.
just talking, one of my oldest memories is being 8 and being told to take my shoes off and engage in foot painting as a group activity at school,
No, I
and
wouldn't do that.
refusing
No.
because it was disgusting and I did
Yeah.
not want to have paint on my feet.
Yeah.
And absolutely just causing a massive. You know how teachers are; they just
Yeah.
didn't like it. But I was just like, I won. There was no way I was bloody
Yeah.
well going to do that. And again, I just, that I'm better now, but I've still got that fastidious nature. I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't like the icky things, like, sort of,
Yeah,
uncomfortable things, and all I can think about is like some food going down my back, and I
oh,
don't know, like,
no,
just
it's a
sort of like
waste of
leave me
food as
alone.
well. Well,
Yeah, the waste of food is the main thing, isn't it? Like,
well,
people are,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
people are starving in Africa. What are
people are
you
starving in
doing?
Africa, which is what you're told all the time as a kid.
Exactly.
I mean, we were genuinely working class, so we didn't, we
Hmm.
didn't have spare money. And I've got my gran who remembers the war constantly
Yeah,
lecturing me about rationing.
yeah,
I think this is food fights, therefore, I think they're a very American thing because the
yeah.
Americans just have
They
more.
waste so much
Yeah,
of
well,
everything.
they just have
Yeah.
always had more stuff than us.
Yeah, I
We just,
remember like watching. It was like, where was it? American game shows in Kuwait. Like, we used to get like a lot of American game shows. I don't know if it was Double Dare or whatever it was called, and they used to have this section where it was like mostly food sort of fighting or stuff like that. I hated that segment because it's like you're wasting food. Because I remember during the Gulf War, I was like 4 years old or something, and we had to go to Pakistan, whatever. We spent a year over there, and we were very poor because we had nothing, right? And I saw my parents sacrificing their food and stuff just to give it to us. Something that I wasn't meant to see, but I saw like how they were doing it, and I have never wasted food since then. Like, I hate wasting food. Like, I was like, no, even if there's a little bit left, don't eat enough then or whatever. Do not waste food.
No,
I
I
hate that.
didn't. I didn't have a steak until I was 15, and I
Mm,
grew up eating offal. So a lot
mm,
of lamb's hearts, beef hearts,
mm.
kidneys, because
Yeah,
that's what you
yeah,
did. And we lived in rural South
yeah.
Worcestershire, so we'd also get a lot of the cheap rotation crops.
Mm.
So one of the funny things about my life is that I grew up eating an awful lot of kale because once you,
Oh, that's a nice. I love kale.
if you farm a crop,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of nutrients out, and kale is one of the things that puts nutrients back into the soil, nitrogen back in,
Interesting.
fixes it back in the soil.
Mm,
So they would farm the thing, make money off the product, then
mm.
they put in a crop of kale just to get some nitrogen
Yeah,
back in the soil, and then they sell off the kale for like massive bags of it for like
yeah,
10p,
yeah.
just to get rid of the kale, and
That's
that
pretty cool.
therefore Barrett would end up eating loads of the kale.
Yeah,
Um, there's
yeah,
other things in the world of farming that
yeah.
affected my life.
That's
I
pretty
couldn't
cool,
quite
actually.
believe it when kale became like a luxury. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
my god, everyone's eating kale.
I had no idea about the humble beginnings of kale, or the humble life of kale, which should be
Yeah,
like pretty cheap. Yeah,
and I used to just eat. So I mean, I'd be sat there eating, lamb heart and kale, and that would be
that to me sounds pretty good. I would
well,
eat that all the time.
but
Yeah.
so it's again. I don't think we waste food because we just don't have the culture. The
Mm,
other one to point out that I like to point out is that sausages were really bad in this country
mm,
until I
mm,
was like 18, 19, 20.
mm,
And sandwiches were really bad in this country until about the
mm,
same time. We the reason that Britain has this rude reputation as bad at food, we're not bad at food. We've always had good food and we've always
mm,
had good cooking. What we didn't have was any bloody food. And so as
mm.
a result, things got bad. It
Yeah.
was only during the Second World War that sausages became bad, and they were known as
Mm,
bangers because they would
yeah.
literally explode. They had so little meat in them they would literally explode. And they didn't get good again until we paid off war debt. We don't talk
Yeah.
about war debt enough.
No.
But after the Second World War, Germany got a Marshall Plan and we got a load of debt. And so as a result, we were sort of mildly run into the ground. That's why
Yeah.
everything post-war is a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
And people that nowadays don't know how bad sausages used to be. Grown-ups would
Mm,
never eat sausages when I was a child
mm,
because they were
mm.
so bad that grown-ups were just like, I don't
Yeah.
need to eat this.
Well, I've also noticed like I actually I prefer German or Polish sausages more than English sausages because we have like a lot of other things in there, which are other questionable things in there, which are at sight and taste that you can feel. But like the German and Polish sausages, they're very packed like with more meat than
More
anything
meat, yeah.
else. Yeah, and they taste more richer. I like, and especially to barbecue and stuff, they are really nice. All right, next question. What kind of drunk are you?
A happy one. Always been a happy drunk.
What's your tipple?
These days I just stick to beer. To be honest,
Yeah.
I started to think that drinking wine is a bit unwise because it's too strong.
Mm,
And actually, I go on a bit of a rant about that. But when I was little, white wine was like 9%.
mm.
Nowadays, white wine is regularly
What
13%.
were you doing drinking white wine when you were little? 9% or 2%?
I've always been able to drink wine, beer, or cider with a meal from the age of 5, and I wasn't. But you know what I mean. It was when I was sort of in my 20s that
Mm,
wine started becoming really strong because we
yeah.
imported all the stuff from the New World.
Mm,
And nowadays, I think French wine producers just try and compete with that. So
mm,
everybody has really strong alcoholic wine.
yeah.
But it
Yeah.
used to be quite shocking. I mean, people in the 1920s or 40s wouldn't expect white wine to be that potent.
Yeah.
So really, I'm just beer now.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I like. I mean, I I'm a fundamentally happy person. So if I
Hmm.
get drunk, I just get happier. I can get
Yeah.
giggly. I might start singing or dancing. You know, there's a little bit
Yeah.
of that going on at any time. But I'm fundamentally, I like parties
Hmm.
because there are all sorts of different people in the world, and there are people who do not like parties. There are people who
Me.
people
I hate
listening to this
parties.
would know, and who would think would be a party people,
Yeah.
and they're not party people.
Yeah.
There are people who are secretly not party people,
Yeah.
but I genuinely adore a party. I am
Yeah.
happy at a party. I look
I think so.
forward
Like
to it.
a lot of people would think that I'm a party person, but I am so not a party person. Like
Right.
I abhor going to parties and stuff. I do not like. I could because I think so. I like having people around mine. I like that control of when I can say, okay, that's enough. Fuck off now. I don't wanna go somewhere and then against like, and I don't know who's on the list, who's coming, and who I would, but I would still go out of politeness and stuff, and I would seem to enjoy myself, and I wouldn't want to be left out as well. At the same time, it's like, um, do we want to do this? Could this have been an email sort of a guy as well? Yeah.
No, I go to parties on my own and we'll just
Hmm.
mingle with everyone. And I talk to anyone. I'm more than happy to just talk
But that's
to.
the thing. Like when I go to the party, I am like that. If I go to a party, I'm extrovert. So I would talk to anyone and anyone like that. Like that's why my wife is like, "Oh, you can make friends everywhere." Like, and she's the shy one. But it's like it's just a response. It's an impulse. I'm doing it as auto. It's not something that I like. I would rather not go. If I had the choice, I would rather not go.
If I had complete control of my life, I'd have a party every night. That's all I'd be doing. Constant party. One of the
Yeah.
reasons I get on with my substitute mother is that she basically does.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just I think you are, and I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not critical of non-party people.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Thank
feel
you.
slightly protective of them. People who don't, I just like, I don't understand why you don't like parties, but anyway. But I always think it's like my relationship with fear
Hmm.
is quite funny. So I remember having a real fear reaction. I was about to go on stage, age 15, and I
Hmm.
was stood by the curtain, and I just went to myself, I'm absolutely terrified of doing this.
Hmm.
And in my head, I just said, why are we doing this?
Hmm.
Why do we do this to ourselves? Let's just run away, and we run
Hmm.
away, and they won't find us, and we won't have to go on stage.
Hmm.
And then I just said to myself, well, if I go away, will I be less scared?
Hmm.
And then I just went, no. So I pushed open the curtain and I went on the stage and
Yeah.
did the big thing because I grew up sort of perpetually terrified.
Yeah.
Therefore, nothing is more scary than normal. So
Yeah.
everything is just normal
Yeah.
scary. So I
Yeah.
may as well sing in front of 1,000 people. I may as well go on the telly. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's changed on a fundamental level. I may as well stand up in court. I may as well do all
Yeah.
of this bloody stuff. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. And that's why I think I like parties, because once you've overcome that,
Hmm.
once you have no fear, you start to think,
Yeah.
oh, actually, I could talk to so and so,
Yeah.
and I could talk to so and so. Could meet a new person. And one of the
Hmm.
reasons that I like parties in particular, probably because I also like eating food in this way, is
Hmm.
it's very little and bitty.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've learned the ability to move away from. So you get talking to somebody, but you don't
Yeah.
have to talk to them all night. Okay, so you just have a little bit of time with
Hmm.
them,
Hmm.
then you go over here, then you go over there,
Yeah.
then you go over there, and it's a bit like having
Yeah.
nibbles for tea. It's more interesting. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, this is ooh,
See, I don't
ooh.
like. I don't like that. So
Oh,
this is why. This is why,
tapas.
like,
I hate tapas.
the the reason why I'm like this is the reason why I'm a intense drunk, right? So I don't get angry or anything like that, but I get like very immersive and I want to have like very deep conversations and stuff. So my idea of a party is like a closed list of people and having really intense like conversations and really philosophical questions and like stuff like that. That's the kind of person I am. But the reason, like, it's not out of fear or anything that I don't like parties. It's just because that's what drinking does to me. Even more, it takes away my silliness. So in normal circumstances, when I'm not drunk, then I would add a lot of silliness into my conversations and stuff. When I get drunk, that silliness goes away, and I'm just focused on like very intense and stuff. So people find me a bit too intense, like, and I like drinking rum or red wine. Those are my two things. Cider before dark would be cider, and only a beer. I only sometimes I drink it. I like what is it called, Hawthorne or something of Jeremy Clarkson's beer.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
I forgot what the name is, but it's really nice.
But you just put Jeremy Clarkson's beer into Google, and then
Yeah,
then you know what it's
yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah. People would know. But yeah, I mean that's why like that's what I like having intense, and obviously not many people like that. That's not anyone's idea of a party apart from probably me.
Yeah.
So, and people don't think like I wouldn't like parties. I don't think so. People would think because I like I performed at stage before without any fright or anything. I give regular presentations and stuff. I'm the first person to speak up, like in any group situations and stuff like that. So I'm very extroverted in that way. Easy to make friends, make jokes with people on the bus stops and stuff I'm very extroverted in that way. But it's just like it's by my choice that I'm doing it, and I'd rather not go to the parties.
Well,
Yeah, I'm a party pooper. Okay, last question. Do you think you are a good liar? You have to be. You're a lawyer.
no, I don't think I am a very good liar, and we don't. No,
Oh
that's
no, don't tell that for your future clients.
lawyers don't lie. No, I don't think I'm a particularly good liar, and I don't
Mm,
spend a lot of time lying. Um,
mm,
it's not something that naturally I would do. I
mm,
probably more trying to think, what do I lie about that is convincing, or when do I lie? And I get through most days without lying.
mm,
It's not really a necessary part of what I do. My one of the nice aspects of particularly the Chancery
mm,
barrister route, the Chancery
mm,
bar, is that you become so used to it that you just assume everybody's telling the truth 100% of the time.
mm.
Not in the witness box, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm never in the witness box. But
Mm,
you get used to colleagues and even rivals, even people you can't stand.
mm,
I would assume told the truth without question,
mm,
and the judge is always going to tell the truth, and that I can't even compute a world in which a judge is not telling the truth. That would just be
mm,
like world collapse. So we can be quite naive. And when I first went on Twitter, I was quite naive because I was
mm.
like, everybody will know that I tell the truth. I tell the truth, and then
Yeah,
just like everybody's just like liar, liar, liar. It's just like,
yeah,
and not even the fact that they were wrong. I couldn't even deal with being called it. I was just like,
yeah.
how dare you? I'm a gentleman. And I just could not deal with this. It
Yeah.
was unbelievable. And then when a fellow lawyer accused me of being like,
Mm.
I was
How
just like,
great.
what? What? Even if I hated you, even
Yeah.
if you were a lawyer that I loathed more than anybody in the
Mm,
entire world, I
mm.
would assume you were telling the truth.
Yeah.
That's just what 20 years in a sort of cloistered community is. It's like being a
Mm,
monk. I
mm,
reckon the other monks don't wander around assuming the other monks lie.
mm,
And it is sort of mild and naive, but there are communities where lying is very uncommon. And I
mm.
think Oxford colleges are very good at being
Yeah.
desperately truthful, ridiculously
Mm,
truthful.
mm,
Like even I can't speak any foreign languages because my
mm.
schooling was rubbish, and I'm not posh. So I always cover this up by trying to be charming and just saying, "Well, I'm still learning English." If he comes up in a party, I say, "Well, I'm still learning English," and everybody has the politeness to laugh.
Yeah.
It's a pretty boring dad joke, but
Yeah.
it's a stand. And I said this at a Cambridge college party once. And the guy behind me just went, "Can I say you're absolutely right?" And he went into this diatribe about how many words English has and all of this stuff. And it's like,
Oh
because
no.
he didn't
Oh,
even
was
realize
that
that
me when I was drunk?
I was being flippant. It wasn't even not just not lying, but
Yeah.
the idea that people would say flippant things
Yeah.
didn't exist in his world. People would only say carefully considered and thought through things.
No.
And I think because I'm from those types of communities,
Mm,
I tend
mm,
to not need to lie. So no, I don't think I'm a good liar. I expect I'd be
mm.
very bad at it. I don't play poker as a result.
I think so. I am a very good liar,
Oh,
but I don't like to lie. Um, because I knew about this about myself like when I was pretty young, especially in my late teens and stuff. So I would build different personalities of myself. I was a bit like Joker. So every different group of friends knew me as a different person because I would live out differently in front of them and act out
this sounds
differently.
exhausting.
Yeah, I know, but it was so natural to me, and I was so good at it that I would convince myself. So I was like method sort of acting, but method writing and stuff, because I would be writing a character or something in my own stories that I've not published and stuff, and I would like to live out like that character. So I would find certain people like to befriend and stuff and act like that a little bit. But this is probably why people whom I grew up with don't actually know me, because it depends which version of me they got at what time. There are only few people who I was myself with. So this was a problem for me, right? Because this obviously means like you don't have like your personality is conflicted, and like you have a lot of issues going on and stuff. You're habitually lying, not for any malicious reason, just because it's entertaining, right? And you're trying out new things or stuff, or I was like
Yeah,
good
acting is
discourage.
lying. We've
Yeah,
got
exactly, right. And I was very much into it, like, to be experience something else. That's why I was lying, like, and but I, like, obviously I understood like it's not a good thing to do, so I wouldn't lie to things, to people, to gain something out of them. I hated lying on that level. I hated dishonesty on that level as well. But I knew there was a conflict with what I was doing myself, you know. But when I met my wife, I was like just 24, I think so. And before that, I had given up on the idea of like the whole lying business anyways. But like she hated lying a lot, and she has influenced me in this way a lot over the years, over 13. So yeah, we've been together 13 plus years, over these years as well. And now I can't lie, because every time if I do lie, I think about like what would she think about me. And that is like, it's in a lot of ways, it's for me, it is that, whenever I think about doing something bad or stuff, it goes in my head like she's my Jesus, right? What would what would she think, like, it's like I'm representing her, as she always reminds me, like, you, when you're going out, you're representing me as well. So behave yourself.
Yes, well, I mean, I was similarly used to think of by representing my school and representing my granny.
Mm.
But it fundamentally, it is really exhausting to lie because you do
Yeah,
have
it
to
is.
remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my brain will be off somewhere, half a
Mm.
bloody mile away. And the last thing I need is to go back and find a lie and
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
mean, because
remember it. I'd mess
there's
up.
so many stories from that time. There's a lot of stories that didn't really happen, but obviously I
Right.
convinced people that that had happened, right? And now I think back to it, it's like, okay, how do I determine if they happened or didn't happen? Because there are people who actually think they happened. Maybe they did happen, and I have forgotten about. It's like I have confused a few years of my life, 2 or 3 years of my life, which I didn't need to do if I just didn't fucking lie. Like, and it wasn't like, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't malicious lying. It was lying about myself, about like, or withholding certain things or acting out differently personally. I wouldn't think like there would be like a lie, as in like, trying to gain something out of, I've done that as well, for brief moments here or there, cheating people and stuff like that, because like, when you're young, I think so, at that age, and you don't have good male role models. And my dad didn't used to live in the so he used to live in Kuwait where he worked, and then he used to come like, on like every 3 months or something. So I didn't have a consistent male role model, and my dad is like honest, very very honest person. He would not lie, right? And that's how I was most of the time. I was like, and I've annoyed people with this as well, like that level of honesty is like, even if it goes against me, like even if I found money once, right? So I found like money once, like, well, normally like people would just pocket it, right? There's no one around or anything like that. It was found at an airport, right? And no one would have that money and stuff. I made the person go with that money to the lost and found, and I needed that money,
Yeah,
right?
that amount.
I
Yeah.
it was like around 600 pound or something. At that time I really needed some money, but I was like, no, like that level of honesty has always been there with me. But just about myself, I think so. It was like a time of discovery and stuff, and I was just trying things out, and I really loved acting at that age. I really loved acting from the age of 15 to 17. I loved the idea of like being an actor, but then I just lost interest in
Well,
it.
the other thing is that I think telling the truth is becoming a luxury in our society.
Hmm.
I mean, and I can see that. I mean, also because I am bisexual,
Hmm.
I did spend time in the closet, and
Yeah.
you do hate the closet. The closet is
Yeah.
horrible,
Yeah.
but you don't want to
Yeah.
lie. And I think
Yeah.
I see this. I don't want to speak for him, but I see this in my friend Douglas Murray. I think he
Hmm.
likes to tell the truth
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we all had
Hmm.
periods in which
Yeah.
we couldn't.
Yeah.
So
And that's
it
why I
became
like
an
him like a
absolute
lot.
luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I like those sort of people who are like who are compelled to tell the truth, and I think so. It's in my case as well. Like a lot of because a lot of people ask me like all the investigations and stuff that have been done as well against me and stuff, but why do you care or like a lot of people say that to me like why do you care like you could have just forgotten about it. It's like it's not a choice for me, right? It just if I see something I have to like say it, and I have to be truthful about it even if it's
truth
against me,
matters.
especially if it's against me. I'll still say it because it matters, right? Truth matters.
But the only times I've ever been piled on Twitter are over truth.
Hmm, hmm. People don't like truth.
No,
Yeah.
humans really don't like truth.
Yeah.
But it is. I think it's very good for our health to be truthful as
Hmm,
well. I think it helps with mental health. I think it makes your life much less demanding. I think you
hmm.
give other people have less power over you if you're honest.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
there's also an element of that.
This is
Um,
very good actually because that's what I found, right? Like other people have more power over you, um, if you lie because you get caught in lies and stuff
yeah,
as well.
well,
And
no,
then you have lied to one person about something else, and you're telling a lie to some other person, and it just yeah, this is like this is the reason why it was just those 2 3 years, and after that I was like, nah, I've never done this. I don't like doing this. I don't like lying to people. I don't care. Like let's not do this again. And then my
good.
wife reinforced that in me. Like
Yes, yeah,
good.
we're big fans of your wife.
Yeah. All right. So thank you
Not at
for
all. Pleasure.
this silly question turned a bit philosophical.
Yeah, well, I did say I was boring.
Oh yeah, I've like it seems like I have drunk a bit as well. So became a bit intense. But no, it was fun. There was a lot of silliness in between, you know.
Yes, good.
And it's good to know that we are both not liars.
Yes.
More interesting to know if all our answers were a lie.
What would be the point?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And thank you so much to Stephen for coming on and being silly with us. Catch you next time, guys.